Welcome back, Dodecadorks. We're the 12-sided guys. We have Matt as Pine the True.
Hi.
Scott as Roos the Courageous.
That's me.
Jordan as Ebby the Compassionate.
Salutations?
Sabrina as Nari the Eloquent.
Hey there.
And me, Paul, the Incredibly Fortunate. We're glad you've come along with us this far. More than likely, this will be the last episode of Chapter 6. 83 canonical episodes. Crazy. This has been the longest campaign I've ever played, and it's not over yet. If you want to support what we're doing, there are a couple of ways to do that. You can become a patron for some bonus content. You can leave a 5-star rating and a glowing review, and you can tell your friends about us. Did you notice I said and? That means you can do all of those things. Or none of them. Or all of them. Anyway.
Or all of them.
If you ever ran afoul of the old save your game anywhere mechanic that some video games used only to repeatedly get hit by a fireball and fall into lava every time you try to load that save, then this podcast is for you. It's the Crystal Codex, episode 83.
Curse you, Lagoon.
I wasn't sure if you did it or not.
That was totally my save file.
I know, it was your save game. It was so frustrating. You were jumping over a lava pit and there's a fireball like an inch from you and you saved it. And then every time you try to load the game, the fireball would hit you and you'd fall in the lava and die.
Yeah, it was in the air, so I couldn't change my trajectory or anything. Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Never
wow.
save your game while jumping. Anyway, welcome back to Pavantis, deep in the bowels of an ancient imperial facility built over the top of an ancient Allelian facility. One
There's Allelians in this thing? Are we in a spaceship?
Aliens, man.
Anyway, last time we were together, Nari and the boys, with their ally Sydney, managed to defeat a failed experiment of the scavengers that, it took Ebby out of commission for the whole fight. It knocked Pine unconscious, and it really wreaked some havoc. But thanks to some big hits, some spell slots being used, and just some good play, we ended up taking out the failed experiment and then descending deeper down past the Imperial facility and into the ancient laboratory. As the players went into this ancient ark, as they called it, Ebby started to recognize certain things. He went down to an office that was down at the end of the hall, and he started recognizing some of the destroyed and old and ancient, falling apart furniture, a painting. Niam started to talk to him, and then he went into the room, followed by Nari and the other boys, as well as Sydney. And then Ebby decided, hey, what better time than now to get naked? And so he stripped himself of his equipment and gear. He recognized that something needed to happen, and he went to the control panel in this room that was surrounded by cogs and wheels and other machinery, and he began to turn dials and pull levers, and he recognized this machine because he, in fact, had built it himself. He started to have memories flooding back to him, conversations and experiences of his life, of Niam's life. And that is where we are at this moment, as Nari and the other boys and Sydney watch Ebby as he stands at this control panel, and you can see the energy coming up out of the ground into Ebby and back down into this control panel. We're going to start with Nari and the other boys. What are you guys doing? Having just seen this crazy thing, your friend gets naked, and it's not Pine, which is unusual, and goes up and starts doing something crazy, and it's not Pine, which is also unusual.
Should we just say it in black and white in case anybody missed it? Ebby is Niam.
Yeah.
Indeed. Which I had no idea until literally Paul made it happen.
As Ebby was walking down the hall towards the office, Jordan texted me, and I didn't read the text before we kept going, but the text literally says, and I'm going to read it, "So am I, Niam, and Niam is spelled wrong." So Jordan figured it out, but what are you guys doing?
Pine is getting as close as he can to Ebby.
Yeah, Nari was kind of already there. Like, she was following him and being like, I don't know if this is a good idea. So I think she's just kind of watching him and gonna react.
Pine will yell out to Ebby and say, "This looks dangerous."
It is, it's definitely dangerous. Try not to get too close because this energy is pretty intense.
You can feel the heat, like the heat of organic matter, like of.
So the heat of my body as I'm sitting here sweating in my office.
Oh, I know the heat of organic matter.
Okay, yes. It's like this living, breathing energy that's emanating off of Ebby. You can tell, you guys are about like 5 feet from him. To get closer would become very uncomfortable. You can hear the contraption still spinning, but I want perception checks for everybody, but what's Roos doing?
Roos is a little upset. The last words he heard Evie say were a goodbye without really any explanation. And so Roos really doesn't want Evie to be doing what he's doing, but he also trusts him. So he's watching and just waiting to see if there's any way he can help.
How does it feel to be the one watching?
Ooh. It's new. Roos is not, he's not typically the watcher. He has a close friendship with Evie, and he doesn't want to intervene in something that's important to him, but he also doesn't want to lose a friend, and it sounded like he's about to lose a friend.
Okay. Perception checks all around.
Pine rolled a 23.
Nari rolled a 28.
Roos got a 24.
As you are watching Ebby, you see that he is becoming a conduit for the energy of the Lord of green and growing things. He is literally taking the energy of life of Pavantis, and he is pulling it out of the ground and putting it into this machine. And you hear the wheels and cogs start to speed up. You can hear the hum get higher. You can hear these machines starting to kick into overdrive. Ebby, why don't you tell us what you're doing?
So Ebby is continuing to kind of work feverishly and channel this energy. He's muttering to himself, kind of a mix of kind of common language and allele. And in the background, Amarok is kind of flying right now in the middle of the room and watching Ebby, but also is kind of agitated. So he's looking at Ebby and then zipping off to the side and kind of doing a little loop and then coming back and then looking at Ebby. And Amarok yells out and says, "Arunshea, be careful. That energy is immense if you're not careful." And Ebby interrupts him and says, "But it's not enough. As much as it is, it needs to open even further. We need even more energy if it's going to work."
Does he say that out loud? Like, can we all hear that?
That's all, I think, out loud and able to be heard. And with that, Ebby says, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what must be done." And Ebby just fully opens the conduit. The green energy that's flowing up through the floor and through him bursts into a type of green flame. A wave of heat just kind of shoots off of him as he just fully opens the conduit at this point. Amarok is kind of zipping around furiously, and, you know, everybody can hear him as he's like, "No, Arunshea, the price will be too high."
I want Nari and Pine to both make Constitution saves.
You can add 4 because you're within 10 feet of me.
Alright, with that 4, Nari got a 28.
And Pine got a 19.
And she's also gonna say, like, "Ebby, stop! No!"
And Pine will say, "Do you need some of my power as well?"
Okay, well, way to one up and be more supportive than me.
What? I have spell slots.
So, as you guys are struggling to stay close because the heat is immense, you both make your Constitution saves. You're both able to stand there. I rolled a d8 for how much fire damage you were going to take. You both made your saves, so you take half of 1, which is 0. You don't take any damage, but you can tell that the heat coming off of Ebby is immense, is insane.
Ebby growls and pushes down harder, and the flame gets even greater, and you hear him kind of growl out, "The sleepers must awaken," as it starts to reach a white-hot level of heat.
Roos is going to go and step in there, put his hand on his shoulder.
On his burning shoulder?
Yep.
Nice.
Make a Constitution save.
And he's going to, probably going to get a lot of damage here, but he's going to do Ancestral Guidance. And so if there's any skill check that Ebby has to make as a part of this, he gets to add a d4 to it.
Oh, that's awesome. You made your Constitution save with a 15, and you end up taking 1 damage halved to 0 as well. My d8s are terrible today,
I'm
guys.
so happy to hear that.
And Roos just says, "I'm here for you, buddy, but I don't want to lose you."
I am going to step away from this ancient facility at the moment. I'm going to kind of describe a little bit about what's going on. As far as awakening the Ormex, awakening these sleeping constructs that have consciousness, right? We've described it in the past that energy is not enough. Otherwise, the Empire would have been able to wake them up with their techniques. That something has to flip a switch, but they have to have energy. And what I imagine Ebby is doing is attempting to energize all of the Ormex at one time and flip their switches, which, if it wasn't clear, it is clear now. To flip the switch, to flip that breaker, it takes life energy. It takes some of the energy of the being who flips the switch. As far as what powers an Ormec, the Empire couldn't figure out how to power them without giving them actual energy from a crystal. But the ingenious design of Niam in creating the Ormec bodies, the bodies are actually powered by the life force of the person in them. So Ormecs have a lifespan. They are not immortal. As their life force powers these bodies, eventually they age and fade, and they will eventually die of old age. And to now flip all these breakers, Ebby has to use every ounce of life force that he can muster.
I believe it's mustard.
Ebby, as you stand at this console, as you are burning every ounce of life that you can find, including your own, what happens?
So Ebby fully succumbs to this flow of energy, and essentially it fills up and muscles its way through the crystalline matrix throughout the facility and even throughout a large chunk of Pavantis itself. And the energy from that literally bursts around him. His limbs are literally separated from his body. His form goes flying back into the middle of the room. Roos, if you were too close to him, you may have been slammed and shoved to the side, and he hits the ground, skidding to a stop, smoke and heat emanating from him. Amarok is immediately there and draws close and says, "Aralt Kumosha, the service that you have rendered has been good. May you rest now amidst all of this that you have accomplished. and Amarok begins to evaporate and fade. But before he goes, he turns and looks to the group and says, "You have done admirably in supporting the Herald of Nature. May his life force go with you on into the future." And Amarok eventually evaporates out into nothingness.
I don't like any of this.
No. Nari is gonna run up and she is going to try to cast Lady Barbarielle's gift, which basically just, if they have 0 hit points, they become stable.
Before you do that, Sabrina, I'd like to do this telepathic message that gets sent out.
No!
Is that okay with you, Paul?
No.
Yeah.
This message comes clear into your mind. It's kind of like the final parting burst of energy that Ebby was able to channel into this message. Awake! Cast aside your fears, Arun Shayanti. It is time for those that have slumbered to arise, and for the keepers of Pavantis to take up their mantles and fulfill their duties and their oaths. Many of you have been used as deacons by imperial usurpers and tyrants. For you, I am sorry to introduce you to such a harsh world. Know that you are not alone. There are those of our kind that have been awake for many years and have established a new Kilava where we can be safe from bondage and forced servitude. I've imparted my knowledge of the location of this new home in your mind. Make your way there as soon as you safely can. Be wary of others, stick to the mountains and forests, where the kinder aspects of Moshe and the other lords and ladies can protect and watch over you. For those few that have already been awakened, thank you for all that you have done, and all that you will yet do. You have dwelt in secret. This has been for your protection. But times have grown dire, and the whole of Pavantis stands in need. This may require sacrifice, even of your very lives. You once gave your body to the protecting of Pavantis, enshrining your soul into these Ormecs, and now that solemn oath and sacrifice may find its culmination and completion as you fight against those forces that would destroy the world as we know it. To those that have long since been awake and to those that are awakening now, the 11th hour is upon us. Inevitability approaches, and the doom of all comes with it. I cannot tell you what choices you will have to take, or when and how this will occur. I implore you all to stand with Pavantis and all of Doman, the good of this world and all other worlds beyond our comprehension. Stand and fight with all other free peoples and creatures of Pavantis. To Hermine, I am sorry. I'm sorry that I shall never see you again, not in this life. I'm sorry that my ability to love was stunted by this metal abomination of a body. I would have adored you, to be with you, to have a normal life with you. You gave me a sense of hope and belonging after all that I've lost. A sense of belonging that I didn't know I needed, and you made me a better person for it. I'm so sorry that I have left you with such a heavy burden. You are strong, you are wise, you are good, and you are equal to the tasks ahead of you. Remember that your strength will come from those you serve and protect, and I shall always be with you, whether in this world or the next. To my friends, we are bound together, a bond forged through the tribulations we have endured, a bond stronger than steel, stronger than blood. Do not give in to despair. Our work is not yet accomplished, and now it lays in your hands. We must see it accomplished. The world faces a great peril. The strength of you three, my friends, my brothers, and my sister, will be the bright blade that cuts through the gloom of uncertainty and fear. To fight alongside you has been my greatest honor, and I shall cherish it always. May the life and power of this world flow through you all. I love you all. I am proud of you, and I am sorry.
No. Nari is gonna keep trying to cast this spell.
Damn you, Ebby.
as you are leaning over Ebby's smoking, damaged body, we are going to again step away.
No.
After hearing that, though, Pine will stand with his head down and do the Menorese salute.
Okay. We are going to step away and up and up and up and up into the sky, looking down upon Pavantis. As we look down on this area around the city of Calta, you can kind of see Calta a little off to the east. You can see the mountains straight down where this facility is. You can see forests to the south and off to the east. And even a little bit to the north, you can see over the tops of the mountains to the forests and the lands of Dolene, and up and up and up it goes. Suddenly, from the point of this facility, as Ebby drew the power from Lord Moshe himself, we see these huge, mile-thick, long lines of what can only be described as desolation. As Ebby sucked the energy, the very natural energy out of Pavantis to waken all of these Ormecs, it had to come from somewhere. And these lines, these ley lines of energy that branch off north, south, east, and west, and then again on a 45-degree angle to the northwest, the southwest, the northeast, and the southeast. These lines stretch straight as an arrow all the way across Pavantis. And from this point at this facility, in all 8 of those directions, a mile-wide line of destruction where nothing is growing. Grass has blackened. Trees crumble and turn to dust. And, again, the party has managed to change the face of Pavantis.
For the better.
It's not as bad as the shattering, I'll tell you that much.
Oh,
but the energy had to come from somewhere.
That does look awfully close to Tabery, but that's not my concern right now.
I mean, looking at the map, there's a city up in the far north that we'll probably never go to that is right on that line.
That sounds like not our problem.
Just remember that these lines are a mile wide, and so they're not to scale on the map that I just showed you. We join back down in this ancient facility, Nari, Roos, Pine, and Sydney, looking over the body of their downed companion. As Nari is casting a spell, Pine is saluting one of his oldest friends. Roos, I imagine Roos is kind of at a loss.
Roos is sat down and he's quietly crying.
As you are sitting around Ebby's body, you begin to feel a rumble, a shaking, and it grows. It's not like the earth is shaking, it's almost like something is moving underneath you. I don't know how to describe this correctly, because it's not a voice you hear, but you know deep in the pit of your soul that somebody is angry. And the message that is conveyed to you is, I want to make sure it sounds cool, but I didn't write it out.
Make it a limerick.
Guaranteed coolness.
Coolest.
Instantly.
You know instinctively that this force is Lord Moshe, and he is angry, and he is hurt, and he is weakened. The message that you feel is, I will not lose my avatar. And the feeling that comes up from the floor into the room is of Moshe using the power left to him, because Ebby siphoned off a vast amount of Moshe's power. and Moshe's energy that is left bursts up through the floor, and in a tangle of roots and vines closes over Ebby's form. And now I'm going to hand it off to Jordan.
This gigantic root ball, which is almost like coiling serpents of bark, wrap around Ebby and raise his torso up off the ground. And then this burst of green energy emanates as trunk-like legs erupt from the torso, long, lumbering arms that are covered in bark with these jagged points sticking off to the side. Wrapping around Ebby's head comes this very wolf-like lupine bark-clad head with these green flames erupting all over the body, almost like rippling hairs of fire.
Come on!
Oh, no.
As soon as we see the vines start to come up to the ground and go after Ebby's body, Pine would have drawn his sword and tried to cut them back.
Every time you cut a vine, 2 new ones form in its place. Standing in front of you is an aspect of Lord Moshe. And yet, still in that form, they can still see some of Ebby in this, can't they?
Yeah, there is the green glow that emanates a little bit from some of the creases within the bark for this creature. They have the same emerald deep green glow that Ebby's eyes had while he was awake. And even a part of his torso in the chest and underbelly of this monstrosity, this like lumbering treant werewolf thing, you can even see Ebby's chest plate with the etching 381 visible despite all of the growth and green flames that are erupting around it.
At least it's not a spider, I guess.
Oh, did he not mention it has 8 legs?
No!
This Ebby beast lets out a yell, a scream, a growl, a shriek, and we are going to roll initiative.
Oh,
And we have to fight the Ebbeast.
The Ebbies.
That's a good one.
Bruce got a 10 initiative.
I got an 18.
Pine got a 23.
And the avatar beast of Lord Moshe got an 8.
Okay. Everybody's got their initiative in, and it is now combat deep here in this ancient facility, this sanctuary. Technically, this part is the sanctuary, and then the part over to the east, that room full of, well, you haven't been down there, but it was full of Ormex at one point. The Ark. But we have the Ebbeast, and we have Nari and the other boys, as well as Sydney. And it is Pine's turn, and guess what? I get to pretty much just sit back.
Are we fighting Jordan?
Yeah.
Jeez. Oh, okay. And based on everything that's happened so far, pretty sure that this new entity is antagonistic.
Why don't you make an insight check?
I'm so great at those. That's a 12.
I mean, it seems aggressive.
What Pine is going to try to do, actually, is cut pieces of Ebby's body free, and he'll yell out, "No, you can't have him!" And he will approach and start taking some strikes.
Jordan, what happens when he approaches?
You immediately start to feel the heat emanating off of this creature. And if you are within 5 feet and or move through like a 5-foot range around it or end your turn in it, then you are subject to 1d10 fire damage.
Is there a save?
What fun, guys. What fun.
There's nothing I enjoy better than trying to save my best friend.
Oh, you said best friend. How does that make
Oh.
Bruce feel?
A little jealous.
Any creature that moves within 5 feet of you for the first time on a turn or ends its turn there takes 1d10 fire damage. Doesn't look like there's any save.
So if I come in to attack you, I take damage when I enter and damage at the end of my turn?
I think it's just once. If you move through it or end your turn, I think it's just the one time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I already did that, so go ahead and roll your damage.
All right. So that's 2 fire damage. Not too bad.
Yeah, I can take 2. Although I'm now regretting the fact that I healed Ebby.
Oh no, it burns.
My first attack was a natural 1, so I'll roll my second attack. This is only a 16. Does that hit?
A 16 does not hit.
I don't think Pine's heart's necessarily in this. I think he's torn, so that's Pine's turn.
All right. Brings us now to Nari's turn.
Oh heck, so Pine didn't hit at all?
Nope.
No.
Okay. Heck.
But you did hear Pine yell out, "You can't have him."
I know, but I was planning on gauging the reaction to gauge what I did. I think Nari is gonna follow Pine's lead. He seems pretty wise, so she is going to do the same thing where she tries to cut away like these vines and just really try to save Ebby for 27 to hit.
A 27 will hit.
Oh my god, you've got to be. Alright. For 10 damage.
Okay.
And then she's going to go in again at the vines and try to get that. And 17 to hit?
A 17 to hit will not hit.
Okay. So that would actually be a 22.
Oh, okay. Is that like a superiority dice?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, cool. So a 22 will hit.
22 for 9 damage, and she is going to use her Axe of the Adjudicator and try to make this creature grovel.
Got it. And what's the save on that?
I think it's just a DC 13. Yeah, Wisdom.
Okay. Got a 14.
Heck.
You almost failed that, though.
I almost failed it, even though this guy has a plus 10 on wisdom saving throws.
Heck.
Hey, this is chapter-ending boss fight, guys.
It's something. Friendship ending.
We're
Paul. Paul.
No. Oh, we'll talk about this.
Nari, you take 5 fire damage from investiture, and
Oh
then
no, it burns.
and then as a legendary action, Ebby is going to make an attack action against you.
Okay, don't call him Ebby. He's not Ebby. Ebby would never do that to me.
That is very true.
The Ebb Beast.
The Ebb Beast.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, the Ebb Beast will make an attack action against you. And just to let you guys kind of know a little bit about, what went into building this, it's a combination of Ebby and like a Treant stat block with the Investiture of Flame kind of thing. His attacks, when made with strength, are done with advantage, and he has a plus 10 on his attack roll. At 25 to hit.
Yeah, that'll hit.
All right. Yeesh. And he will do 46 plus 4 or plus 6 bludgeoning damage. So 12 plus 6, so 18 damage.
I did not enjoy that, my friend.
Oh, jeez.
All right. Well, Bruce, it is your turn. You see Nari chipping away. What are you going to do, Bruce? It's your turn.
Oh, man. I'm really conflicted here. Bruce is going to step forward and say, I don't know if you're in there or not, but this will not be my last memory of you. And I will start to leave the room.
We're all conflicted, Roos. You can't just off. Oh my god.
Yeah, quit him off over there.
Oh, gosh. Are you going to do any bonus actions or anything?
I can't fight Ebby. I can't do it.
That's the end of Roos's turn. Is there any legendary actions that Ed Beast wants to do?
No, I think the Ebb Beast will not do a legendary action on that.
Well, it is now the Ebb Beast's turn. There is Nari on one side, Pine on the other. Sydney is down kind of at the south end of the room, rifle in hand, like a look of shock on her face, like she still is very confused about what's going on, and she sees Roos start to walk out the door. What is the Ebb Beast going to do?
The beast sees Roos leaving and kind of utters this deep, growling roar and will shoot fire in a line through Nari and at Roos. It's a DC 18 dex save.
Roos got a 21 on his dex save.
All right. And what did Nari roll yet?
I'm so upset. Sorry, I got an 18.
They both saved. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, you both saved. So you'll take half of the 19 damage that was rolled. So you'll take 9 damage.
This is what happens when you leave us, Roos.
I don't know what to say. I can't do it.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's all he can do for his action for this round.
Yeah, no worries, says the Beast. He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. Just like, chill. Don't even try to hit me.
Chomp, chomp, chomp. Yeah.
Bite, bite, bite. No, no, no. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Yes, yes, yes. If anyone can tell me what that's from.
I had to play that for my son after a party where he got a little too excited and started biting his friends.
That's
Awesome.
the coolest thing I've heard. It is now on to the only character that I get to control. It is Sydney's turn, and she is going to move towards the exit with Roos, but she's got her rifle up, and she's going to take 2 shots at the Beast. And she gets, looks like her highest roll is a 16. Is that going to hit?
No, that won't hit.
Okay, 2 shots go wide. Yeah, she calls out to Roos. She says, "What's going on? What happened?" And we're back up to the top of the initiative with Pine.
I think I've got a layer action, don't I?
It's on 20. Yeah, Pine goes at 23. So your layer action goes at 20. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
To the east, there is a door called the Ark that is still closed, right?
Technically, it's open. I didn't make that map because it's really just, you can see into it a little ways. It looks like a very vast open room held, the ceiling's held up with pillars and things. You can see these tables with like glass domes over them, but the glass domes are all open, and the tables, the gurneys or whatever, they are all empty.
Oh, there's no... Okay. And Pine will yell out to Roos and will say, "This creature is not Ebby. This creature has Ebby." And he'll strike 2 more times. First attack is only a 16. Second attack is only a 10.
Oh no!
And that's Pine's turn.
All right, and Pine, you take 7 fire damage.
Okay.
Nari, it's your turn. Oh yeah, layer action.
Yeah. So with
No.
the layer action, you see the beast here stomp its right foot down, and it shakes the whole cavern. But erupting from the floor all around the entryway are massive vines in a 20-foot radius, kind of in front of Roos, blocking his exit.
Oh, really quick, just for anybody who was saying, Matt, you're an idiot. Don't you remember that you have resistance to fire damage? I just remembered I have resistance to fire damage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you want to have all that, if that's cool with you, Paul.
Go for it. Yeah, and what does that circle do?
Yeah, so with grasping roots, these vines erupt in a 20-foot radius. That area becomes difficult terrain, and each creature there needs to succeed on a DC 15 strength saving throw or be restrained.
Do they do that now, or do they do that on their turn?
I think they do that now.
Wait, is this inside the circle or when we cross it?
This whole circle, you're in it. You're
Gotcha.
in it, yeah. Sydney rolled an 18, which makes her strength save a 19, and she saves.
What was the DC?
DC 15.
Okay, Roos rolled a 15.
Yeah.
Nice. Nari rolled a 22.
Oh, so ain't no thing. You guys aren't restrained, but it is difficult terrain.
Nari, it is your turn as you see Pine swiping at this beast. I imagine, Nari, you can kind of see Pine, and I think you've never seen Pine look so old.
Fair.
Your turn, Nari.
Nari is going to yell to Sydney, and she's just going to say, "Don't you dare leave. You owe him this. Help him." And then she is going to swing her axe for a friggin' heckin' nat 20, girls and boys. Did you like the way I didn't swear at that? Nice. For a nat 20 for 14 damage. That wasn't very much. And then a 19 to hit.
19 won't hit.
What?
Heck.
Just barely.
Okay, so I am going to use my superiority dice to try to hit with that one. So that will be a 23.
Yeah, that'll hit.
All right, nice. So I am going to hit for 9.
Okay.
And then I am going to use my action surge and just go again, trying to get these vines away from Ebby for an 18 to hit.
And 18 will not hit.
Oh my goodness. 21 to hit?
21 will hit.
Nice, okay. And that's for 16 damage.
Ooh, that was a good hit.
And honestly, at that point, Nari is also going to still use her axe again and just be like, bravo, home skillet.
I love it. What was the DC on that again?
It was only 13, which you have, but yeah, you're fine.
So
Okay.
yeah, the Beast got a 21 on his wisdom save.
Heck.
With that, he's actually going to use a legendary action, and will actually use 2 legendary actions. Those reset at the beginning of the round, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. He'll burn 2 of his legendary actions and shoot another spout of fire towards Nari and Roos. So that's a DC 18 Dex save.
Roos rolled a 17, but he's going to use his Ring of Evasion to turn that to a success.
Nari rolled a 4, and she is just going to roll with it because I don't think there's anything I can do at this point.
Nice. So it's 24 damage.
Don't forget, Nara, you have Stone's Endurance too.
I was actually just thinking about that. I think I am going to use Stone's Endurance just to kind of try to mitigate that.
It's weird watching this and not being the bad guy and being like, oh, now I can actually like say things to the players instead of just trying to kill them.
At this point, you're basically a PC with Sydney.
Basically.
So I did save myself 13 points. So I'm going to take 11 damage.
All right. Roos, that is your turn.
All right. Roos will look past the beast to Mr. Pine and say, I still can't help but see our friend in there. I won't leave you, but I still will not strike him. And I will cast Refracted Visage, and Roos will say, Squire, let's make it tough for him to hit me. And Roos will stand right next to Ebby. He'll walk to the north side so that he's not lined up with Nari anymore. And he'll just hold his hand out so it'll look like there's 4 Rooses standing just north of the beast. And all 4 of them are going to try and hug the beast.
Oh.
Does it work? Is he our pet now?
And then bonus action, I'm going to have GG heal me just a little. And it was just a little. It was 4.
Nice. All right. Are you guys? You're hugging the beast, like not trying to restrain. You're just hugging like out of love.
Yep.
That is adorable. And I don't know if you caught it. Did I give you your investiture of flame damage? Yeah.
Yep. I got 9. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Okay. Beast.
Yeah. Back to the Ebeast. Ebeast has a couple of attacks that he's going to make, and I will roll a 6-sided dice to determine which of you 3 those are going to be at. So a 1 and 2 will be Nari, 3, 4 Roos, 5, 6 will be Pine. So a 1, so Nari for the first attack.
Classic.
Next attack will be Pine.
Okay.
There's 4 of me. You could have rolled a 6-sided dice and had 1 Nari and 6 Pine, and it still would have been.
That's so funny.
So the first attack coming to you, Nari, is a 27 to hit.
Yep, that hits. Love that.
And that will be 17 damage.
Ouch.
And then at Pine, it'll be a 26 to hit.
Definitely hits.
18 damage.
Okay. How's Nari looking?
You know, she's been better.
Okay.
Like, if one were to say they had 100 hit points, she would be at about 20.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Real quick, hey, before we move on, I'm going to send Jordan a message. Hold on for a second.
Yeah.
Illusion!
Why you holding back, bro? Looking for a TPK here.
I'm sorry, I can't help. I don't know.
I have some things to say to you, Roos.
I'm at least trying to become a distraction.
It is now Sydney's turn. She's not sure whether she's more afraid of the Beast or of Nari saying, "You better not leave him. You owe him." And she steals herself. She actually uses her bonus action to pull out a crystal and crack it. And suddenly, as you look at her, her body has kind of blurred a little bit, making her harder to hit. So if the Beast decides to attack her, it will be with disadvantage, which will then make it a normal hit instead of the advantage that he has been using. And she is going to take 2 more shots. Actually, see, here's the deal. Let me clue in on a little background information about Sydney. She has the illusionist stat block, and there's not a lot that illusionists can do in this kind of situation besides bang bang, here we go, 2 shots. Does a 15 hit?
A 15 does not hit.
Okay, so I'm guessing the 8 won't hit either. All right, 2 more shots, go crazy.
I think we've established that the AC is 20.
Yes. All right, and that is the end of the round. Before we get to Pine at the top of the round with his 23 initiative, Beast, why don't you make a wisdom saving throw?
Yes. So the Beast rolled a 22.
Jordan, you know what that means. So I will step back and let you control this aspect of the Beast.
Okay. So this giant kind of lumbering hulk of twisted roots and fire all of a sudden stops kind of thrashing about to the right and to the left at Nari and at Pine, and kind of stands up rigid for a moment. And in this deep, guttural voice, you hear, "Run! Run now!"
Pine, it's your turn.
Seems pretty clear to me, my friends.
Did it sound threatening, or did it sound like a warning?
Make an insight check.
I am historically great at these. And I continue it with an 11.
It was a voice that I imagine it sounded a little bit like Ebby, but also not like Ebby at all.
Okay, well, that doesn't change what I was going to do this round anyway. Pine is going to circle around the Beast over next to Nari. I go into the difficult terrain.
Make a strength save.
I have to make a strength save by entering it?
Yeah. Is this a layer action?
Yeah, it's a layer action. It says that it disappears at initiative 20.
Okay.
But it would still halt your progress if you do get bound up in it.
I think it's just difficult terrain is kind of what I think
okay.
I think it would be, at least moving through it.
Okay, so then I have enough movement with difficult terrain to get to Nari, and I'm going to say, "Nari, I'm sorry, this is all I have to give." And I'm going to give my last 5 points of commander's morale to Nari.
Thank you, friend.
And that was my action and my movement, and I really don't have anything I can do for a bonus action, so that's my turn.
Field Marshal, sir, we ask your aid.
I'm out of second level spells,
Oh no.
and I'm saving my third level spell in case I absolutely need it.
Okay. Well, then we reach initiative 20, and the layer action, the circle of graspingness disappears.
Oh wait, I need my investiture of flame.
Oh yeah.
Give it to me, Daddy.
Yeah.
Oh man, you asked for that one.
10 fire damage. I never rolled this well when I was just a normal PC. I don't know what's going on, man.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, that's 5. I take the 5 damage because I'm resistant.
Nice. Okay.
Okay. Nari, your turn.
All right, Nari is going to glance at Pine and say, "I think Ebby is telling us to get out of here." And then she is going to book it.
Sorry, was there supposed to be another layer action at 20?
Yeah. I would do this. The roots that comprise his body kind of get sucked down into the dirt and in the floor, and he disappears and then immediately reappears, dropping from the ceiling over here.
So he moved from the center of the room down to the to the southeast corner of the room.
Yes.
I got a question. Can I have everybody make perception checks besides Ebby?
Yes, you can. Pine rolled a 17.
Roos got a 28.
Nari rolled a 23.
Jordan, remember you said that when he stood up and spoke, does he still look like he's standing up straight, or has he turned back more to the beast form?
I'm going to say that he is not fully down, because it's like when he is in his beast form, it's like his arms are almost like dragging Knuckles on the ground. So he is beginning to hunch back over, but he's not back in his previous, like, on the attack mode, if you will.
Okay. You all noticed that with your good perception checks. Okay, Nari, what are you gonna do?
I think I'm still gonna like do the same thing. I'm gonna touch Pine on the shoulder and say, I think it's Ebby, and he told us to get out of here. And then she is going to take a few steps back, not completely out of like the range, but just enough that she's like in the hallway. And she's going to shout towards, what is the fox-eared? I just keep thinking of her as hot foxy baby.
Sydney.
All right. She will shout towards like Sydney and say like, I think it's time for us to get out of here.
Remember that time when I told you don't be a well, let's out of here.
I mean, I don't want you to be like, we're still here, like we can still do things, but like
All right, very good. All right, so is that Nari's turn?
Yeah, I think for this moment that's her turn.
Let's move on to Roos.
Roos doesn't want Sydney to get hurt, so he's going to move and stand next to Mr. Pine. With his bonus action, he's going to throw Gigi over to Mr. Pine and heal Mr. Pine for 4 hit points. I know it's not a lot, but hopefully it helps a little bit.
It's greatly appreciated.
For his action, he's going to cast Sanctuary on Sydney and say, Squire, don't let anyone touch her. And he's going to stand... He's standing not in front of Sydney, but a little closer to Ebby than Sydney is, to hopefully on the Ebby's next turn that it wouldn't come for Sydney, it would instead come for Roos.
All right, dude, you don't get to like move in on my girl. Like, can you please back off a little bit?
This has nothing to do with that. I can't let Ebby hurt anyone.
Well, what does the Ebbeast do? It is your turn, Jordan.
All right. The Ebbeast starts to kind of glow, this greenish glow underneath some of the rippling fire. And you again hear kind of the guttural voice say,
"Run, my friends, run."
And Ebby will cast his healing wave on himself primarily.
Classic Ebby just touching himself.
That's what I do.
No one last sexy unicorn before Ebby's gone.
Ebby is not gone, my friend.
That's so funny.
So he heals himself for 29 hit points. And to Dr. Sydney, Roos, and Pine, 8 healing.
This is the first time I've had a big bad heal me.
Yeah, so this blast of healing energy, you see the roots like squirm and then grow rapidly around kind of healing areas that had been chipped or hacked away by blades.
So are you saying that you touched yourself and there was a big blast of healing?
It was
clear on this?
wild. It was wonderful.
You guys hear on the wind, just faintly, always I wanna be with you. Very quiet.
Make believe with you.
All right, that is the
perfect.
Ebby's turn, and now
Yes.
it is time for Dr. Sydney. Feeling extra protected now, she looks at you guys and she says, I suggest we follow his advice. And she backs up out of the hallway. She is now further in the hallway than Nari is. She does not take a shot. And that brings us back to the top of the initiative. Let's have Ebby make another wisdom save.
Okie dokie.
Get a bad roll this time.
23 this time.
Okay. Pine, top of the round with your initiative of 23. What are you going to do?
Pine is going to say to Roos, "Are we really going to do this? Fight over who gets to sacrifice themselves?" He's going to put his hand on Roos's shoulder, and he's going to attempt to basically move with him. So, a grapple, if Roos would let him, and then Pine will move half his speed toward the door.
Yeah, Roos will exit with you. He had no intention of dying here. He just didn't want to hurt his friend and didn't want to see his other friends get hurt either.
So that would be then we can move 15 feet toward the door.
Hey, nice to see you guys.
That brings us now to Nari's turn, unless there's a legendary action coming their way.
No, I think at this point, Ebby is kind of keeping the monster at bay a little bit with some of those will saves.
Okay.
And so he's fuming over there, like this it's like trying to keep the Hulk back a little bit, as it's just over there like and like, you know, flames are kind of just rippling over it, and yeah.
All right. So Pine and Roos move back towards the hallway. It looks like for the time being, for this round, Ebby is under control. Under control is the wrong word. Maybe restrained. The beast is restrained by Ebby. So at this point, you guys all have a free round to do what you're going to do. Pine and Roos just moved back. Nari, it's your turn.
So Nari is gonna do her best to just try to look at the beast and try to figure out how she can help. I don't know if that's a perception or insight or what, but she's just gonna try to figure out a way to save him from this.
Insight or investigation, I would say.
Okay, I'm gonna do insight, and that is a 21.
With a 21, Jordan, what does she see?
Should see everything, buddy.
Well, he did take off all his clothes at the end of the last episode.
Yeah.
So.
Let's say this. On the 21 insight, you recall the conversation in the upper facility, in the Imperial facility, when Ebby and Dr. Sidney were investigating the remains of the failed experiment. And when Ebby said, you know, if we can recover the crystalline matrix, there might be a way to potentially revive the individual. And you can see that there is a violent green glow coming from underneath the kind of chest plate, the Ebby's half plate.
Yes, half plate.
Hashtag half plate.
Half plate. That is kind of, you know, encroached on all sides by this bark that's kind of squirming like a live snake almost, and growing and shifting and moving. But there is this light kind of glowing from underneath the chest plate.
We need that crystal.
So then what are you going to do about it?
I think... heck, I don't know. I think Nari is going to shout that. She's going to say, we need that crystal. And she is going to run up to Ebby, and she is going to try to get that crystal out with her axe, even if she's not feeling super great. And so that's a 21 to hit.
That'll hit.
For 10 damage, and then going in again. That is a 26 to hit for 11 damage.
Okay.
And then I am going to make you roll again a DC 13 save for the Axe of Adjudication.
Paul, if you're cool with it, can I impose disadvantage on my save against this?
I'll allow that. Yeah, that's cool. You've got the beast raging, but you're in control of it at this point. A little bit.
Yeah, I'm at least kind of keeping it at bay. So I'm going to say that Ebby is kind of almost rendering the help action, if you will, and imposing disadvantage on this save. A 15 with disadvantage, so just barely.
Yeah, I think that's all Nari can do for this point. But Ebby, we love you.
Okay. Roos, it's your turn.
The crystal? How tightly attached is it?
Oh, it's under the half plate. It is inside the beast.
We've got to do it, Roos. Come on.
It's not coming without taking the beast down.
Like I couldn't like have Gigi go and grab it and like sleight of hand, try and.
That's up to Jordan, I guess.
I would say probably not. It's between the fire and everything else. I think it's just it'd be too difficult for Gigi to pull off.
Bruce, it's us. It's us.
Would Roos be able to reach his hand in there? Like even taking damage?
I think you'd probably would have to do enough damage to kind of hack away the bark. And so if Paul's cool with it, maybe I'll say that like if you get to the point where you've done half of the Ebb Beast's hit points, then we could say that there might be a chance to like use sleight of hand.
Okay.
And try to make that happen.
And just remember, the Ebb Beast did just heal himself for like 29 hit points.
Yeah.
Are you heckin' kidding me? I'm so dead.
Bruce is going to look over at Mr. Pine and say, I'm not leaving without my friend's soul. And he's going to run back up, pull his dagger out. That does non-lethal, just reminding everybody. And take a strike. For a 26 to hit.
LMAFO, like we can do anything lethal at this point.
26 does hit.
This will do 9 radiant, 11 precision for 20 damage.
Ooh. Hitting like a dump truck.
Then, oh man. I will come with my offhand for a 22 to hit.
Oh yeah, that hits.
And then 6 psychic damage. Then what's the investiture of flame that I take there?
So, and I forgot to do this also for Nari. So I'll roll it once, and if it's cool with you, Paul, we'll just say that they take whatever this comes out as.
Fine by me.
Roll low.
6 fire damage.
Okay. And that is Bruce's turn.
The Ebb Beast. You have been taking damage, Ebb Beast, just so you know. So at the end of this round, when you make your wisdom save, it is going to be with disadvantage.
Got it.
The beast will be taking more control.
Yeah. So the Ebb Beast is...
There's still 4 Rooses.
Yeah, perfect. I think Ebby still has enough control that the Ebb Beast is just going to hold its action. It's just not going to do anything on this turn. It's just heaving and like breathing heavily and just kind of restrained in the corner for the time being.
All right, and now it is Sydney's turn then. She moves forward, sees you guys are attacking again, kind of hears you guys yelling about getting that crystal, getting the crystalline matrix, and she's going to take 2 shots to try to help you out. And she gets a 20. Does a 20 hit?
A 20 hits.
Oh, here we go. And she deals, oh my gosh. She just dealt maximum damage. 2d10. She rolled 2 10s for 20 damage. Boom.
Nice.
Big
Foxy
hit.
babes. Foxy
So-
babes.
I'll say those 2 rounds of ammunition slam one right after the other into the chest area of the Ebb Beast and crack his breastplate. And you can see the glow of the crystal coming out from beneath. And you have a clear view of his crystalline matrix.
Bruce, use your clever fingers. Finger it out of him.
I am
Oh my
very
gosh.
skilled with my fingers.
Ebby, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw with disadvantage.
He rolled a 24 with disadvantage.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Pine, you see your friends, Roos and Nari, have gone up. They have hit this beast again. You see the chest plate has cracked open, and you see the glow of what can only be the crystalline matrix in there. What are you doing, Pine?
Oh, Pine is running up, and he's going to go ahead and attempt to grab that. Somebody's not muted.
Oh my god, that was me. I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
No, you're not.
Own it. It's all good.
We needed a little bit of levity. Jeez. Pine is going to go in and attempt to pull out the crystalline matrix. What do I have to do?
I don't know. What do you think, Paul?
I would say sleight of hand. What is the Ebb Beast's spell DC right now?
Spell save DC is 17.
Okay, sleight of hand, difficulty 17.
All right, I got to get a 13 or higher. That's a 17.
Oh my gosh!
Nice.
Yes.
Okay, Pine will reach in and finding the crystalline matrix, he will pull it free.
So I'm just going to tell you what happens. You pull that free. You have this box with these conduit kind of coming off of it. This is not the first crystalline matrix you've seen. This is definitely the most precious one you've ever held. With that, Jordan, you are going to continue controlling the Ebbeast, but Ebby has no control over it anymore.
Okay.
Right.
All right, Pine, what are you doing?
I
Your whole
am.
turn?
Yeah, I mean, I'm stowing the crystalline matrix in my bag, and that's my turn.
All right, Nari, you see Pine succeed at what you were looking for. What are you going to do?
I mean, honestly, she's gonna grab Pine and try to run away. Like, I don't know, is that difficult terrain?
Normally I'd say half, but since you are a Goliath, you can carry loads as if you were large. So I think that you should be fine to just pick him up and carry him and move your full speed. That makes perfect sense to me.
As a quick heads up, though, Pine will have taken 3 fire damage during that process.
So 1.
Cool.
Okay.
Nari's gonna sling Pine over her shoulder, and she is going to run as far as she can over to the exit towards Sydney. And sorry, Roos, but we gotta get this boy out of here.
Pine will yell out, "Look at me, everyone! I'm a sack of potatoes!"
All right. Roos, what are you doing? It is your turn. You've got this Ebb Beast in front of you. I imagine you see the beast go from kind of upright, kind of hunching to all of a sudden just bestial, just dropping down into like a lupine type of hunch, and the hackles, fur and bark and pine branches and all kinds of things just kind of sticking up, ready to lay into you.
Roos is going to spit on the creature and say, "Lord Moshe, this is what you do to your most trusted servants. Curse your name," and he will flee.
Oh, snap!
I'm going to call out attack of opportunity on Roos.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Now, roll a d20 first. You have to roll lower than 6 to actually hit me.
Oh, okay.
So then you would roll an attack against 10 plus my dex save.
14.
So one of my mirrored images vanishes.
Nice. Okay.
Okay. And I'm gonna actually move, so I'm like in the hall.
Gotcha. Roos was like, "Come on, guys, what are you waiting for?" The Ebb Beast, it is your turn.
I think what will happen is that as people are leaving, rather than try to chase them down, it just flees itself and kind of flees into the root structure, into the world. Is that cool with you, Paul?
That's perfect. Yeah. So the Ebb Beast is standing kind of in this room. It sees all of these targets that have been hitting it. They are running for their lives. The Ebb Beast is the literal raw energy and anger and emotion of the Lord of nature. And recognizing that whatever these 4 individuals who are fleeing have done to nature, Moshe has bigger fish to fry, bigger things it needs to do. And even in the primal rage that is the Ebb Beast, it snakes its roots down into the floor. And as Pine and Nari, Sydney and Roos flee, jump into the lift, flip the switch, and start going up, the Ebb Beast digs its roots into the ground and sucks itself down deep into the bowels of the earth and disappears from our sight.
Very flexible.
We're gonna cue victory music.
Nah, I don't think we deserve a victory music on this one. Oof. Actually, I do have a question about when we got on the lift. Was Roos able to flip the lever correctly this time?
No, he was still doing it wrong. Sydney had to come and do it when she came.
As the lift goes up and you guys head back up to the Imperial facility, you can feel the shaking and the vibration and the anger of Lord Moshe start to fade. It seems that for now, the danger has passed. Pine holds this box, this consciousness of their beloved Ebby, their loved one, their ally, their partner through thick and thin. And I imagine there is a very somber, sad mood. But what Nari and the boys don't necessarily realize is that Ebby was successful. Far away from this facility outside of the city of Calta, with a gasp, Callum jerks awake. A clouded dream of half-recalled memories bubbles up in his mind. Cobwebs seem to coat the inside of his skull. As his vision slowly returns, he reaches up to rub his eyes, but stops suddenly when he sees the unfamiliar shape of the hands before him. Gone is the white and brown plumage he inherited from his parents, and in its place cold, shining copper, brass, bronze, and iron. He shakes his head and tries in vain to squeeze his eyes shut, for his eyes will not close. We should craft eyelids to cover the ocular apparati. The statement enters his head, quiet and soft, as if heard through a thick door, but he recognizes his own voice, a memory from a time before. Unbidden, a second voice can be heard deep in the recesses of Callum's memory. If only we had more time, Callum. The work we've done on these organic mechanicals has been truly miraculous, but like the wings, we just don't have time. Shaking his head, Callum at last surveys his surroundings. Cold and dark, save for a little light. Underground, he supposes. A basement or cellar, but not the Ark. This space is less sophisticated. Nearby, the sound of rousing Ormex catches Callum's attention. Rows and rows of slumbers are waking. Callum stands, testing his new body. Curious, he thinks as he rises, surveying his chest and legs. Steel plating had been welded to him almost like armor. Callum snorts, bemused. I'm an engineer, not a warrior. Why would I need armor? There is sobbing to his right. Looking about, he sees the Ormec closest to him on hands and knees, rocking back and forth. Sadness, thinks Callum, but no tears will come. Like the eyelids, there was no time for tear ducts. Further on to his left, an Ormec hunches over, retching as he attempts to vomit. No time for gastrointestinal systems either. Callum knew going into this that some would have an easier time than others acclimatizing to these new bodies. He's just happy to be one of the lucky ones that won't take hours or days to stabilize. Suddenly, and unbidden, a voice, booming, echoing, yet soft and whisper quiet at the same time, resonates through Callum's cranial vault.
Awake! Cast aside your fears, Arun Shayanti. It is time for those that have slumbered to arise, and for the keepers of Pavantis to take up their mantles and fulfill their duties and their oaths. Many of you have been used as beacons.
For several minutes, all noise and motion ceases as each Ormec hears within their own selves the words of their liberator, their hero. As the collective mind quiets and the words fade, a sense of resolve and purpose nearly overwhelms Callum. Looking around the room, the weeping and retching have stopped, leaving all quiet throughout the vault, where he and his kind are being held. We have to get out of here, he calls to the quiet Ormex. Does anyone see an exit? Here, calls a voice, followed by a thud of wood and a rattling of metal. It's locked from the outside. We're trapped. The voice is panicked. Before Callum can respond, another voice pierces the anxious murmur from somewhere in the sunless vault. I'll get it open. A figure passes near Callum, approaching the panicked voice. The faint yet imposing outline, 10 feet tall or more, strides amongst the smaller Ormex in the dim light. A warden, one of the few allele Ormex created for protection. Behind and to the right of Callum, another warden moves through the gloom, both converging on the barred and locked exit. Stand aside. There is a ripple of movement as the assembled Ormex, 55 in total, back away from the door. The two wardens leveling their shoulder cannons at the door. In unison, they call out,
Man cannon!
Two bursts of milky white energy lance out and strike the door, tearing it from its hinges. Torches from the hallway beyond at last bathe the somber room in light. Stay close, Callum calls. Follow the wardens, but stay out of their way. We must head west, to the Kilava and our people. We've slept too long, family. At this, the wardens, followed by all 55 Ormex, lead the way up into Mason's Keep and out into the streets of Arkelvy. Hey guys, thank you for playing chapter 6 has ended on a high note.
No, that's not high.
Saying high in a higher pitch doesn't make it a high note. Not the kind of high note you're looking for.
All right. Well, real quick before we close out this episode, I just wanted to talk with our listeners about this. For anyone out there saying, wow, Paul is such a jerk. What did he do to Ebby?
Me, Sabrina, me.
Jordan actually contacted me, and this is something that we talked about together. This was mostly Jordan's idea. A grand and fitting moment in the campaign for Ebby, and I thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic.
You know, when it comes to one of the best parts about Dungeons and Dragons and, doing these things with friends is the element of storytelling. And as Ebby as a character began to kind of progress, and as, the storyline with him began to evolve, it just seemed to make sense that there would probably be some moment where he might need to sacrifice himself. And that was always kind of in the back of my mind, that it seemed like that would be kind of his grand, the culmination of everything that he had been kind of working towards. And so, while it is painful, because it's like, I've spent nearly 2 years as Ebby as my character, right? So it's tough to kind of see him go. At the same time, it felt like that was the appropriate thing for his character and for the story. But I will say this: with that crystalline matrix, who knows what the future will hold, even for Ebby.
Not me, and I run this game.
Yeah.
It seems to me that it's serendipitous almost that long ago, when Paul first started developing this Niam story, and I remember hearing snippets that were like something about he was supposed to be the sacrifice months ago. And now Ebby has had the chance to do that without Jordan even realizing that that was something that Niam, in Paul's story that he wrote about the past, was going to do as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious if in any of those late nights, Ebby watching Roos sleep, if they ever talked about ideas on reincarnation, resurrection, that sort of thing.
I imagine probably some of that came up, especially as the reality of like the deities, the lords and the ladies, became more real. That probably brings into question a whole bunch of like theological questions, right? Where it's like, well, if it's real, then what is heaven and what is all of this? And, kind of more of those dogmatic questions probably surfaced. So I would imagine they probably had some discussions about it.
Roos wouldn't want to revive Ebby if he didn't want to be revived, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
I would say this: amongst all of the conversations and times of casual chatting, you would know that Ebby has a tremendous reverence and appreciation for life of all varieties. And he sees it as a huge gift and a huge blessing.
Okay.
I think Nari didn't not expect this. I don't think she necessarily like figured it out like everyone else did. But she didn't not expect this from Ebby. I think she's more concerned about him and like where he's going to be, because she feels like we need him as part of our group, and I think she's more concerned about the future and more concerned about getting him back into his own body, his own existence.
We now have a very important piece of Ebby, and there are ways through D&D rules to get him a new body, even if we just had a fingernail or a hair from his old body.
Yeah.
Okay, but he doesn't have fingernails and hairs.
Yeah, you guys have something more important than a fingernail. Yeah. Hey, I just want to say, guys, this has been a lot of fun. Chapter 6 has been a long one. It's been a great one. I've kind of lost track of time as we've been playing this chapter. Everybody, go ahead and level up to level 10.
Woo!
And
I'll break!
to all of our listeners, don't forget our Discord, don't forget our Patreon. You can join with us next time we get together when we do another random saved game. And until we get together next time, we hope you have a great time.